What up, my freaks? RuinouSinsight here with part 25 of my Total Warhammer 3 modded Belegar Ironhammer campaign. So as we saw last time, in the defense of Black Iron Mine, Fimber Ironhammer and Kazran Norgrimling did manage to see Tretch Craventail off. And despite the fact that we have the plague here, hopefully the plague won't kill off a few of our troops, though it looks like this miner might actually be dead because there's 3 turns remaining and it's losing, let's see, 10 turns per turn. Yeah, so this one will die and oh wow. If it's losing 10 per turn, then all 3 of these units are actually dead. It looks like this Quarreler unit is dead as well, and it's quite the shame. We maybe then... it may be beneficial to just delete them early, rather than just slowly allow them to die. Although if it's based on a percentage, wait. These guys are losing 10 troops per turn, and yeah, okay, no. Huh. Well, the Quarrelers are actually only losing 8. Interesting. But all the miners, regardless of their current HP, seem to be losing 10, so the miners will definitely die. And frankly, so will this Quarreler anyway. Well, it's a problem, but I guess they're only miners, and they're relatively easy to re-recruit, although 760 is still a little bit steep. Damn those Skaven Plagues. They're always such a hassle. Anyway, at the end of last episode, I posed to you guys a question because something important came up. We have the option to confederate both Berek-Var and Karak. There was some good points on each side, and at the end of the day, it looks like the confederate Berek-Var option did win out. And there were a few interesting points, like allowing them to continue leveling up the Forest of Gloom, which is a red territory, and it's currently only at a level 2, which is unfortunate. But I feel like we have to take the opportunity to confederate Berek-Var where we can. They may be a minor faction, but at the same time, if they get strong, they're also completely surrounded by us. And if they get strong and they don't lose their armies, and they refuse to join further wars, then they'll just refuse to confederate later on. Thorgrim, on the other hand, we can keep relatively weak by simply not advancing against Skarsnik, and just letting the two fight each other. Granted, Skarsnik will probably come down to Karak drawn, but we can always just hold an army here, maybe Fimber or somebody, depending on what exactly we do with Belegar. So in that light, it will be the Berek-Var dwarfs that we confederate, although... can't we ask for military alliance and then get the money and then confederate still? I think that while this screws your confederation chance over, it doesn't happen for a turn, so if we do this...
Fine.
Yeah, okay, it's still at 4. And since they weren't giving us gold for this, we might as well do this. It's free money. Alrighty. Not too bad. And Province secured Death Pass, and Forest of Gloom, and Blood River Valley. There we go. And wow, our money dropped by about half, because I guess they have their 1 and another little bit of an army here as well. There we go. Alrighty, and then we have the public order now. Control -8 everywhere. Quite problematic for the dwarves who don't have good public order in the first place. Looks like neither of these 2 armies can move right now, and oh look, they have some spare miners with blasting charges. I know where we can send those. Alright, now we also have some bolt throwers here, we have some thunderers with grudge rakers. Alright, so... first of all, you guys are going to be of no use, regular miners. We can't be paying this much right now for troops we don't need. And then we'll take these miners out as well. But we'll keep these rather than re-recruit them and send them off to our explosion man there. Then... I guess we'll keep the artillery pieces for now. I'm thinking that we make this army into our gunnery army. I mean, we've got our explosion army, we got our range army, now we gotta get thunderers, grudge rakers, and cannons all over the place. And that seems like it would be a pretty fun one. Yeah. I like the idea. We'll try to make that happen, and now let's check what we have here in the new territories that we have. So first of all, Iron Rock. You are new. You do not need the watch room, you do not need the trinket maker. I believe you have a special building here that makes us money. Deep magma caverns, plus 400 gold per turn. It's quite significant, and we don't want to reduce it any further. In fact, Karak Draj is looking like it's going to be our main money-making hub It doesn't look like it right now, but between the magma caverns and then all of these extra trade resources, plus the Goldsmith's Guild Hall, and the place is going to be making crazy amounts of cash before long. Also, does it have a special building or no? No, it doesn't. Alright. That's fine. It will still be generating plenty of cash. Alrighty, and we can, I guess we can immediately upgrade the dwarf mining colony here. Do either of you guys have or need stonemasons? You do not have one. Let's give you one right away, just to reduce the cost. If we have extras, and indeed we do right now, and we'll give you one as well temporarily, but we're going to delete you in a few turns. Just got to make sure to remember that you have a stonemason. And there we go. Now character on for 444. Much better. I am warning you guys now, this is probably going to be a fairly admin-heavy episode, because every time there's a confederation that has to be admin-heavy because of the public order changes and all the army and building changes, but not to worry, we have a battle lined up. I'd like to think a pretty great battle lined up, because Belegar has a lot of rats to, well, quarrel to death, so we'll be doing that in the middle of all the admin work. Alright, back to it. So, you are now looking pretty okay. I'd actually like to get rid of this Dwarf Tinkerer's shop from Karak and replace it with a deep mine, but considering our current income, maybe we can hold off on that. You can also... you know what, I think we're gonna have to go for Masters of Stone and Steel for now in this place, to reduce costs further. We'll be building stuff at Iron Rock, and Karak, and then 2 turns in Karak as well. And there's going to be a lot of costly stuff that we need to upgrade, so yeah. And we'll try to reduce the costs further with these guys. Actually, speaking of these guys, before I forget, Spite Peak... Are you reachable by anybody? You know what? I think you kind of are. Let's not upgrade you, but we can get rid of this building at Dringo Karaz, as I doubt it's going to get attacked. You... I'm going to move here, which will further reduce the costs
will be settled. Moving.
Of stuff in 8 Peaks, so we can upgrade Valea's Sorrow for a mere 700 and continue building that mine there. Alright, nothing to build here, and in fact... if Karak has this, we probably won't need the building, the Clan Barracks building, at Crooked Fang Fort. You know what, let's keep it just for now, for a little bit. Also, do you have a stonemason? You do. Brad Tommen. You're kind of in danger of getting attacked, but, you know, for now, let's build the barley field there. Misty Mountain, we will build the Scrat Mine. Hopefully it's far enough away from actually getting attacked, but once again, we shall see. Alrighty, that looks good to me. Now, back to this place. What did we get out of Blood River Valley? Well, first of all, the control is horrendous right now, so we are going to go into Venerate the Ancestors next turn. First, we're going to go into Masters of Stone and Steel. We're going to keep the gunsmith shop, especially as we'll, or forge rather, as we'll need to build our army up here, but, and though this is gonna cost us, we want to replace all these with deep mines. And I guess we don't need the Tinkerer's Den here. And we don't need this. We're gonna retool the place to both make money and to be able to churn out some types of units. We'll probably build the engineer's workshop at Barakavar rather than at Varenka Hills, as I do think that's kind of a waste. Alrighty, Forest of Gloom, you're up next. We have a clan barracks here. Why are you making 350 money? Huh, not horrible. Oh, I guess it's because of the dwarf outpost alone, huh? But minus 13 is a lot. Let's uncollect the income for now. We're gonna pop you into... I'm kind of tempted to keep this thing here just to get increased Thane capacity. But we could get rid of you if we're not going to collect income here anyway. And replace you with something else. And we can't screw over our control here, so yeah. Let's do that. And for now, we're going to venerate the ancestors. And then we'll probably switch that later on. Akendorf, you are now... Wait, you were always maxed out, but you do need something, which is the public order building, so the refectory, I guess. Although, you know what? This place is actually not going to ever be generating a crazy amount of cash, more like a decent one. So I think maybe this is a good place to build the Makas Ungor and get control for adjacent provinces as well. Yeah. I think that'll be decent. It'll help out the nearby provinces, and yeah, it does have these unpleasant climates as well, so if anything, this place is going to need the help. With the public order, I mean. We can also upgrade you, but at 1600, maybe we'll see. How much money we have remaining, I mean. Alrighty, so this place is now, if not fixed, at least going to where we need it to go. What else did we get? It was just these three, right? You're good as you are. Iron Rock is good as you are. And Varenka Hills is... Wait, that's the same place. Yeah, okay, okay. Those places are decided. Now that we've done that, let's check diplomacy. Right. See if that changed anything. Non-aggression pact, no, but Talzin is reasonably close. Ooh, we do have trade agreements. One of which is Torgavon.
What do you need?
Alright, we have to go for Torgavon, just to keep these guys as friendly as we possibly can. I really don't want to be fighting the Wood Elves right now. One. Okay, Torgavon, sure. One. It would be better for us to start trading with Reichland, but once again, we need the relationship with these guys. We do still have trade agreements available.
Protector of the Oak.
I wonder, if we were to join war against Paravant, they would be willing to go for a trade agreement. We can't do it for another 2 turns, as we checked last time. Or was it 3 turns? But it is something we can do soon. Which means, I think, rather than get this trade agreement, we hold off on the trade we currently have, just so that Talzin is reasonably happy to get a trade agreement going at some point. We really gotta try to get the Western Provinces a defensive alliance, but they're not at war with anybody. Yeah, so at least until we get friendlier somehow, we can't do anything about that. And I do believe that's it. We're not going to peace out with the pirates of Sartosa. There's no need to piss off our friendly factions. Although if they sail to us, maybe. I don't know. I'll think about it. Alrighty. That looks good to me. At least for now. We're still going to have to go through every province, but for now, let's do some army movement. Then we'll attack, and then we'll complete the admin afterwards. Cazador and Alaric, you both have places to be, my friends. Let's send you to Oakenhammer and take it back. Hopefully Grand Peak doesn't get attacked in the meantime. I really don't want to be bouncing around between these 2 territories. We really just need a wall at Oakenhammer so that it can hold without us having to worry about all this. Alright, away you go, and decisive victory and casualties low. Looks like the auto-resolve will not kill anybody, so we'll auto-resolve that. 1 loss. And occupy. Blackwater, yes, and free money and free oath gold, we'll take it. You, Oakenhammer, are going to get an upgrade immediately, and we're going to go back into... You know what, let's go venerate the ancestors for a few turns, just to allow our units to heal a little bit more. And then we'll swap that out after. Speaking of venerate the ancestors, you're not venerating. Which unfortunately doesn't... Damn, I should have done that last turn. And just so that these guys could heal up a little bit more, but they'll be moving next turn, so we won't get any value out of it. I guess we can keep Purge the Orcs here then. I mean, it's not that much of a garrison here, so we might need it in case the place gets attacked. We do want growth and stuff, but you know what? We'll wait to fix it until Herd of the Shadowgate is destroyed. Then we won't have to worry about several things at once. Alrighty, Belegar, you will be moving last. Alaric and Furrowbrow, I believe neither of you need to move right now. Grimly Coral Seeker, you are waiting for 1 more turn. Fimber Ironhammer. Well, if your miners are gonna die anyway, let's do this. Keep them from dying. And then which one is the least healthy one? I think it's you. At least we'll save some money this way. Not a lot, mind you, but a little bit. And then unfortunately this Quarreler has to die as well. We don't have any new Quarrelers to swap them around with. I guess we could build one, but... What's the point of that? No. Let's just delete you immediately.
Yes.
Alrighty, well, that army is now fixed. Let's actually move it to Karak Eight, not necessarily the settlement itself, but outside it. Actually, never know whether we should be moving it inside it or outside it. I just want that you're in the place that already has a plague. That's what I want. Rather than spreading it to another territory. And we're already venerating the ancestors here, which is fine. Kazran, you stay here, buddy. At least for now. And Brock Whitesmith, oh right, this entire army in fact, You can all lose your stuff because you're not going to be defending anymore. At least for a while. I shouldn't have taken your Stonemason though, that was my bad. I was just clicking everything. You can have the Stonemason back, you can have your Tiller of Tales back, you can have your Brewmaster back. We'll take all of these away once again once we delete these guys, but in a little bit. And I believe, unless I'm mistaken, that's it. I mean, I guess you can have a Choirmaster. Nobody's doing anything with it right now. Alright, good enough. You can lose all this stuff as well. Since Tretch is gone. You can keep your stuff, however. Alright. And what do you have again? You have a Stonemason and Teller of Tales yourself, which is great. You don't technically need to be in this army. You probably want to be close to Dalid over there. So let's move you down here, out of this army. Because then you'll both want to move to Death Pass to reduce the costs up there. Which will happen in a few turns. I was also thinking about moving one of these guys to annoy this guy, but what's the chance of him actually being killed here? If I can select him before he uses that Pestilence Scheme. 33%. Yeah. Fairly unlikely. We could chance it, but it's probably not going to happen, so we'll just ignore it for now. Alrighty. That, I believe, is all for the Lords and Heroes, and if it is, it's time to attack. Looks good to me. Yes, yes, yes. Constructor Morgrimmel, you don't need to move. Alrighty, so right before attacking, two things. Belegar, 1, you will get Rally, and then next turn you'll get Dowie Firepower. Would have been nice to have it for this battle. Then, who was holding the Rune of Spite? Was it the Runesmith, or was it one of these guys? I don't remember. Technically, we have 2 Master Runes of Spite now, if we want to use them. We're gonna give at least 1 to Grimly afterwards, but for now, yeah, fine, hold the Rune of Spite. And then you, King Lund, what do you have? You have, oh, okay, well that kind of tells us who was using what rune. Your -3 Fear or -3 Leadership rune is probably worse than the Rune of Spite, but you know what, let's just do 1 Rune of Spite here for now. We could also give somebody the Scepter of Stone temporarily. I frankly doubt we're gonna need it this battle, but why not? It's an enchanted item, you can have it for the turn, and then I'm sure there are other items to swap around and stuff, but we can do it later. Alright, now, you're not at war with anybody, yes? Yes, so we can directly declare war on you and have Belegar attack. I guess the question then only is, which army do we attack? I guess this little tiny one. Yeah, alright. Right there. Or, wait. We could destroy this army before the rest of the enemies move on the field, but then these guys will absorb hits. Whereas the rest of the armies moving in at the same time would then be interspersed with Skaven slaves, which actually works in our advantage. You know what? Yeah, let's go for Klesh. And declare war. And Border Princes and Golden Order, sure. Alright, let's see what we're facing off against. Close defeat, and a couple of our units are hurt here. What do we have in the main settlement? And oh, this isn't actually the settlement garrison, this is just the army that was in there, damn. Not too bad. They got rattling guns, they got a Helped A-bomb, they got a mutant rat ogre, plus the Lord. They don't have a lot of casting capability here, which is nice for us. Then we have the garrison, Doom Wheels, 2 Helped A-bombs, oh my. Okay, we're actually gonna have to work for this. Maybe I should have taken 2 Spite runes after all, and the Rune of Flight, but it's too late now. This is what we're working with. Let's hope for a very epic fight. Alrighty, very well. Once again, Belegar, and not a dwarf that likes to make big speeches, at least not at the current time. Anyway, here we go. I am extremely excited about this particular battle. The one battle that, I mean, not the one battle, but rather we've faced off against armies of Skaven before, but not a single army has been as elite as the couple of armies that we're going to be facing off against here. So it should be a damn good time. That Warlord is running away from the Ghost and wants to charge our Rangers instead. So obviously we Vanguard deployed our units here to try to destroy the tiny little army here, namely the Warp Grinders. Don't really care about the summoned clan rats, as well as the enemy Warlord. Unfortunately for us, the Warlord ran right past our Thane here, our Ghost Thane. But it looks like now he's willing to get into combat, though probably not for very long, as the Thane should have no problem ripping Mr. Warlord apart, especially with a few Rangers shooting him in the back a few dozen or 100 times, depending on how long it takes. There we go, couple more shots in there, and it looks like he's outie. Beautiful. The Warp Grinders are done for, and the Warlord's gonna take a couple more shots and melt away, even as he summons more clan rats to try to cover his retreat. We don't really care all that much about these clan rats, and we'll give them a couple of volleys and then simply back off to our starting area. The enemy reinforcements are here in 20 seconds, and the battle will well and truly begin. Here we are. We Vanguard deployed, or rather just deployed our runesmith out front as far as we could to get one of these, an overcast Rune of Wrath and Ruin, right in the middle of the enemy Skaven blob, as well as that Zipfar 42-pounder shot. We gotta do as much damage as we possibly can to the army before it gets to us. Even before it gets to the firing line of our ranged units. There is just an absolutely incredible number of Skaven here, and I also want to point out that this is just the beginning. We still have the monstrous units, all of the monstrous units, and the artillery that will come later as the various Skaven slaves and clan rats and storm vermin and whatever they have here and get off the field. There's still 3 sets of Rat Ogres, a Doom Wheel, I have Mutant Rat Ogre, and 3 Helpit Abominations, 3 Plague Claw Catapults as well. And look at all these Lords and Heroes. 1, 2, 3, no, yes, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those as well, although we should be able to knock those out reasonably easily. It looks like our engineer is firing, and the first of the Packmasters is going to start taking damage and is going to turn away pretty much immediately. Packmasters are quite fragile after all. And there we go, the enemies are broaching our ranger lines, which means the rangers can start firing. First on the Skaven slaves, but then whatever else comes into range. The enemies are still very, very far away from us, and we are just backing off and gonna focus down the Plague Priest here on this Plague Furnace. This thing's taken quite a few hits, but here comes Belegar and King Lun. Together, they shouldn't have too much trouble killing this thing. We also send Halkenhalf to take out the enemy Warlord, who's already below half HP, similar to the Plague Priest, and both will be dead shortly. But the enemy are still coming, and they still have all those reinforcements, so this is just the beginning of the battle. Alrighty. With the, there we go, down goes the Plague Priest down the Plague Furnace, and we are still engaged and are kind of surrounded. We're going to try to open up a hole in the enemy lines with our Angrund miners, but unfortunately our Lord and Hero just are a little bit stuck. Over on this side, a little bit less so, and we have our Companions of the Hall, our units of Hammerers engaged. We are going to pop the entrenchment on them, and just to get that extra little bit of physical resistance and the damage buff as well. Although, wait, that's missile damage, that does nothing. Physical resistance then, and hopefully that'll allow them to hold a little bit longer, as they will have to hold essentially this entire flank themselves. On the bright side, this flank, where the Angrund miners sort of are, does not really have to be held, mostly because the, well, we've deployed by this little cliffside here, which really works out quite nicely for us. Alrighty, keep it going. Companions of the Hall, led by, I believe this is Halkenhalf, yes. Hold the line as best you can and just try to prevent the enemies from reaching our rangers. Granted, our rangers will be able to fight in melee, but it will take some time until the enemy get to them, hopefully. And it looks like the enemy's finally moving around our flanks. We got some wolf rats looping around, and it looks like they are going to hit our artillery pieces. Gonna have to move a few rangers to try to combat that, as otherwise they are liable to damage them, or at the very least stop them from firing, which we certainly don't want. There is also a few units of gutter runners that are doing a little bit of damage now. One of our rangers has dropped to about half HP due to the focus from these guys, and they've actually done more damage than the rest of the enemy army so far. And the enemy also had 2 units of rattling guns that did move in, but we focused them down both with our grudge throwers and with our rangers to try to prevent those from firing. Otherwise, a lot of enemy units are already routing and or rushing away. The hammer is still holding the ground of this flank by themselves. Ooh, that's not so great. They do get hit by a warp lightning, and I'm sure that damaged them fairly significantly, though they're not yet losing too many models. In fact, that actually didn't even hurt them nearly as much as I would have thought that it would. But they do have 40% spell resistance on top of 109 armor, which is pretty darn swell. Angrund miners still chucking their blasting charges, and I'd love to send them into melee to help out. There's an assault of stone coming down, but until they've depleted their charges, I don't see the need to send them in. Even though I'd like them to fight together with our Lord and Hero here, who are finally able to get out of the fray, at least a little bit. Finally. Although they did hold the ground rather fairly admirably. Over on this side, we've also moved in Thorani Ironbrow together to help Halkenhaf, and these two can hold and prevent at least a few more units from going for the Companions of the Hall, and in fact allow the Companions of the Hall to take the initiative and attack the enemy instead. And there we go, more rats charging in. There's always more rats, isn't there? And we still got plenty of blasting charge ammunition, and in fact the ranger ammunition is looking pretty good as well. I remember in a lot of the early battles we had the problem of constantly running out of ammunition, but it hasn't been nearly so bad now that we've got more veterancy and a decent amount of upgrades for those ammunitions for those rangers and their ammunition. Look at those blasting charges. And the grudge thrower is helping out. Lots of explosion in the enemy line, and it looks like all these slingers are going to book it, and in fact are going to shatter fairly quickly. It's not actually a good thing for us when these guys constantly shatter, because they'll run away with about half of their units remaining. We'd really prefer them to just fight to the death. Anyway, here comes the first of the enemy Hell Pit Abominations, though they've got plenty more where that came from, and the Mutant Rat Ogre will follow suit. But for now, we're looking pretty good, and in fact, the balance of power is in our favor, and the enemy has lost plenty of units, down to 3,000 out of their 8.5k or 8.4k that they started with. Alrighty, time to focus down that Hell Pit Abomination, and not all of our rangers are going after it, of course, but our engineer together with the front line of rangers, so the 8 or so units, the first and second line, are all going to focus this thing. It's going to charge Belegar, but that is not going to be enough, as it just gets knocked down before it can do anything. Of course, a pile of Skaven saves come out of its corpse, and shield the Rat Ogre, or Mutant Rat Ogre, a little bit as it moves in, but we simply switch target to it, and it should be down quite quickly as well. Down it goes. Oh, Rangers, you are absolutely disgusting. Very, very nice. Though they still don't have anything near the kind of missile strength that I saw in my old Thoric campaign in Warhammer 2. I can't remember what numbers they were hitting, but it was something absolutely ridiculous on the Quarrelers, like 150 or 200 missile strength. Just absolute insanity. They were basically artillery pieces instead of Quarreler Dwarfs. Anyway, the last of the enemy army moves in, and this is now the most elite units. They've softened us up just a little bit, though not enough, I would think. And now they're going to continue going with their Plague Claw catapults and all their monstrous units and elites, Death Globes and Poison Winds as well, and in fact we are going to target both the Death Globes and Poison Wind Globadiers first, rather than trying to focus the enemy monstrous units, as it is absolutely critical that these guys aren't able to fire. So of course we are spreading out our fire, and our Companions of the Hall are now going to get charged by Rat Ogres on this side. These guys have been taking hits for the entire battle, and it looks like the enemy is not quite done with them, but they are still holding on. And in fact, those Rat Ogres failed to kill them, though we are now starting to take damage from the enemy artillery. and our Rangers are going to be in trouble. We are going to pop the Overcast Master Rune of Oath and Steel to get 50 more armor for our Rangers, just to try to resist damage from those Plague Claws for a little bit longer. Fortunately, it looks like the enemy Death Globes and Poison Winds are done for, which means we switch targets to the Hell Pits and the Doom Wheels, or Doom Wheel I should say, which are getting ripped apart. Of course, they're trying to duel our Lords here, but it is kind of an unfair duel with all of our ranged units. Kidding me. And there we go. And look at those Quarrelers work. Those Rat Ogres are pretty much done for, I think, and I think that third Hell Pit Abomination is about done as well. Still, credit where it's due, Hell Pit Abomination is still probably the coolest looking unit in the game. And I've said it before, but frankly, far, far scarier than any of the demon units, and honestly a lot more demonic looking than any of the demon units. You gotta love those Hell Pits. Anyway, with the Hell Pit done and the rest of those units out of the way, a few more blasting charges hit this pile of routing Skaven, or should I say shattered Skaven, as Clan Carrion gives up on its attempt to break our lines. The army shatters and we will try to kill as many of the enemy as possible, though of course we are still probably too slow to chase anything down. Our ammunition was starting to drop though. We're down to the dregs at about 25 to 50% depending on the individual ranger unit. I really do think that it'll be better to get a second engineer in this army though. I believe the engineers provide something like 17% missile damage to all range units in the army, and at 17%, a single engineer will probably be worth more than a single unit of rangers, or possibly one of the melee units. I haven't decided what we're going to do. That'll probably be included once we retool the army by adding organ guns and by adding Bugman's Rangers later into the game. Anyway, there we go, just a few more units to kill, a few more shots with our grudge throwers into the enemy's backs, and a heroic victory for Belegar, though he's gotten quite a few of them throughout this campaign. So fun. You gotta love fighting massive hordes of Skaven. Alrighty, what a fun battle. Certainly harkens back to the earlier parts of the campaign where we were facing off against these massive hordes of enemies. Surprisingly little XP and money as our reward, and barely any execute and loot money either, though plenty of oath gold at the very least. Yeah, that part surprises me. But I guess a lot of these units did remain alive, which does kind of create a problem for us, in that it seems likely that we'll have to assault the settlement as well. In terms of kills, 69k, nice damage on Thorani here, our runesmith, and he did get also the most hurt in the entire army, mostly because he is he's not supposed to really fight in melee, and we did send him in at least a little bit. Otherwise, the Ghost and Belegar are more or less okay. The Ekron Miners got 536 kills, the third most kill amount, which is pretty darn impressive. I kept thinking they'll run out of ammo soon. But the plus 200 ammo is really working for them, and they can chuck those blasting charges for ages. I gotta give the MVP, regardless of all that, though, to the companions of the hall, our hammerers, who just held on that flank for basically the entire battle, relatively unsupported, and were just bonking away for the entire fight. Quite impressive. Let's take the execute and loot, I guess, though I do once again wish that they had given us more money. And what's our oath gold going to be at now? I'm definitely going to be able to forge a few more things. 822. Not too bad at all. And Clan Carrion revealed. Go figure. Hey, a free student. Don't really care about the recruitment. Do any of you not have a student? You don't have a student, and therefore you're going to get one. There we go. Alright, what's our research rate at now, by the way? It's at 270. These things have been at 2 turns for a while. It would be just so great if they could go down to 1. Wouldn't that be amazing? Also, are we able to reach the other armies here? No, unfortunately we are stuck at NAGASHIZZAR. I was hoping that we could take out Hadar as well, although his army is kind of garbage, mind you, but alas. And I take it that we are indeed not going to be able to auto-resolve this. No, we will have to fight this. Which is a little bit of a shame, because they stand absolutely no chance, but I guess that'll be something for us to do in the next episode. We'll probably just do it as a regular fight, mostly because their enemies are already pretty much broken. I'm also tempted to actually retreat from here, kill Hadar first, then go back in and attack NAGASHIZZAR. I think we might have enough movement points to do that, but I think, once again, we'll leave that to next time. This will be the goal for next time, as well as heading back out to the Desolation of Nagash, and destroying Clan Wars for good. I'm gonna hope that the 1 to 2 extra turns offered to the enemy will allow Queek to come back, but if he isn't back by now, we're probably not going to bother waiting again. I wish I remembered which turn we killed him on, because then we could count exactly how many were left, but right now, I have absolutely no clue. It would definitely inform my decision as to how we do that. Otherwise, in addition to that, next time we will join these armies together and delete some troops, continue our newly found province stuff, as in rebuilding it in such a way that it is most efficiently using the slots, the building slots that are available to us. And we will also most likely march on Montenas next episode, as well, as both of these guys are in position and 2 to 3 turns away from being in range. So that'll probably be something for us to do for that episode. Not going to predict the one after that, so stay tuned for it. Don't forget to leave a like and comment. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.